All right, so this is another self-reflection in terms of communication and sales. If you're into closing high-ticket sales or just want to really understand on how your speaking can elevate, I feel that with role playing, it's hard to analyze when you're role playing with someone who can't give you harsh feedback. So the question comes to who is going to give you more harsher feedback than yourself? And also, if you are giving yourself harsh feedback, is that to put yourself down or is that going to be constructive? So I'm only saying this because I have done some role plays recently in the last couple of hours. And this is what I've learned in terms of how I could be transferring the mindset that I have to from authenticity or to get to be more authentic more quicker. So the current problems I'm been facing with is that there's three things that I have in my mindset. My authentic self, which I can genuinely articulate the problem, understand the problem, and active listen with my personality, but that just goes down to the wayside when I'm trying to process a script, process the answers I'm trying to listen to, and also trying to catch someone on what they're looking for. When you communicate with people that you know, people that you are trying to help, or if there's no agenda, you do not consider the script, you don't consider a framework, you don't even consider the process of the sales call. But the stakes get higher because you have to consider this plus be your authentic self. If you do not become your authentic self, then people can smell commission breath. And people do not want to be sold, but people do want to buy. And what are they trying to buy? They're trying to buy one, your trust, and also the trust that you can actually solve their problem for you. So my current problem right now, when it comes to analyzing what I'm doing wrong, is that one, I stutter, I speak too quickly, and I say filler words. All three of them shoot and point towards the fact that I cannot be confident, I cannot articulate the problem, and it reduces the confidence levels of someone that I'm talking to. I did watch my recent video and it sounds not that bad. So I'm trying to really analyze things I can really improve on. And these are reasons why I feel like reviewing things on the way you speak is better than role playing because role playing puts you in a default mode that you have to perform and you have to act. And I was talking to my friends about this. And if you are valued on the outcome and if you're valued on your performance, then your decision-making process and the way you act is dictated on the outcome, not the process. Let me repeat that. If what you are intrinsically valuing is the outcome, not the process, then your mindset and your way of decision making is led to the outcome. And if you do not get the outcome, i.e., finances, output, relationship, as well as the end result that you're looking for, the expectation is already performed or set in a standard that you will never meet. That being said, if you shift the perspective in sales, we call that a reframe. The question comes to trying to understand to close yourself. With this way of thinking, of you wanting this type of outcome, how has that best served you? If the answer is no, it has not served you in any way, why do you continue to have this mindset? And that just breaks it down to reasons why. It's because either your expectations are high or you're wanting something to dictate your feeling or your emotional state. And we're all chasing emotional states in the end. And the emotional state that we're chasing of wanting something like an outcome, we want to feel that rush of either endorphins, serotonin, or in layman's terms, happiness. When you're buying something, you're buying an emotional state, and most likely it's a sense of relief, happiness, and de-stress. So if you realize that this is something that you're chasing, why are you doing this? And then break it down into a deeper why. Why are you chasing this emotional state of happiness? Why are you chasing this emotional state of sense of um, relief when you purchase this material or this service or this output? So I was breaking this down with my friend. It came to the fact that we are wanting and limiting ourselves with the outcome over the process. So the problem right now is it's a shift in identity as well as a shift in frames. If you can frame in a way where even if you get the outcome, what happens next? Do you stop doing the work? Do you stop doing the process or the thing that got you the outcome? What happens then? Well, in my situation, you go either backwards or stay the same. Do you want that? No, because you continually want that emotional state of being satisfied, happy, or to reduce that stress. So, in order for you to keep wanting that, what do you have to do? You have to continue to do the work. And if that's the case, then it doesn't ever stop. If you all you're wanting is to chase that thing. So, question to myself, if you don't want to put the priorities as the outcome or what you're chasing for, where do you put the energy to? So the only place you can put the energy to is the process. Because without the process, you do not get the outcome, which goes back to enjoying the journey, enjoying the process instead of the outcome. Once you get the outcome, you're going back into the process. Because if you do not go back to the process, you either stay the same or you go downhill. For someone who is pushing or doesn't want to stay stagnant or is not fulfilled, you'd always want to go back to the process. So here's some potential solutions. Understand why you're saying what you're saying. So if I choose to go with the process, why am I choosing to go with the process instead of the outcome? That means things will never end. If things will never end, you have to make sure you're being yourself in a situation where you're allowing yourself to continually do the thing that you're doing, which goes into the idea, the frame that you are playing this game, whatever game it is. In this case, it's either improving your skills, which is self-development, two, continually getting the outcome and not stopping regardless of what the outcome is. If the outcome is good, it shouldn't be any different to if the outcome is bad. You just keep going. That is the process. And the other reason is, why didn't I say this earlier? Well, it comes down to collecting enough information and making mistakes fast enough to understand that this is the problem that you have to do. That being said, it's all about allowing the silences in between the notes. When you listen to music, it should be the same as the way you speak. Notes hit harder after a silence. Notes mean more after a silence. And dead space allows for the mind to think. So this is the things that I'm going to be working on. For every role play I do, there's always learning and feedback to take away. For every call I do, there's a takeaway and a learning for those that can't close. And understanding where you are in the script, understanding where to go to a framework, just comes from practice. Authenticity comes from after copying the chef multiple times to the point where you know the recipe inside out. In this case, the chef is the person you're learning from, and the recipe is the script, or the fundamentals, or the foundations of what you need to be doing. And so that you can start to adjust and customize the script once you know it inside and out. Because if you do not know it inside and out, then how can you replicate before you innovate? That being said, I feel like based on what I'm saying, this cadence feels much more slower. I'm still freestyling, but now I'm trying to reframe my brain to be like, okay, these are why I'm doing my videos. This is a problem I have. This is an idea that I'm going to try to implement. And this is what's going to happen once it does happen. The end, that's 10 minutes. Maybe it is 10 minutes, maybe it's not, but we should all be doing this. If you're into sales, into high ticket, or if you're into wanting to communicate better, because a mindset that you have is not being consistent with some form of journaling, if it's writing or recording, what the hell are you doing? Smile and let's get to work. Peace out.